WB is doing single player microtransactions with what game? Is is it the Shadows of War of Mordor, whatever it's called? Shadow of War, Shadow of
I have no
Wardor.
idea.
I don't remember what it's called anymore.
Shadow of Mordor.
Something. I still think Total War Warhammer should be called Total Warhammer. How can you not
Of
name the game
course.
that? Come on. Shadow of War. Thank you. That's what it is. Middle Earth Shadow of War. Middle Earth middle/Earth colon Shadow of War. That is what it is. All right. Social media dance. There we go. Oh, I've got some spam. Let's see. Customer survey. Congrats. I can get $50 Sam's Club reward. I don't shop at Sam's Club.
Nice.
Doubt that. The Mayo Clinic Diet Online. Mayo Clinic Diet free week trial. Sure. Most of my spams are like trying to. It's like date Russian girls, date Asian girls. I'm like, stop it. How did I'll tell you exactly how I got all the adult spam. That is a year and change ago for Friday the 13th, April Fool's Day. I did a 30 days of porn day one video. Because I'd done 30 days of Netflix and 13 days of horror and 30 days of comics and a bunch of series like that. So I did a 30 days of porn where ostensibly I'd be watching a new adult film every single day and reviewing it, right? So for an April Fool's joke, I'm
Yeah.
okay, he's going to do it. So, and I was really going to do it. So I researched I found an adult site that I could do a free trial. Well, there is no such thing as a free trial. I think it's like $3 or something for a 3-day trial, which only gives you access to one movie. I'm like, oh my god, why you cheapskate? But whatever, I'm only watching one anyway, so I was gonna do it seriously, and I thought it would be funny. But then I couldn't get the thing to work. The movie I picked, which was a porno slasher film, which I thought would be kind of interesting, wouldn't even play. So I was on the phone with tech support for half an hour getting my money back. And the video, I did the video. The video is there. It's called 30 Days of Porn Day One, whatever it's called. And you can go watch it. And instead of me making a joke out of, wouldn't it be funny if Andrew actually did this series? The whole thing is, or the thing is me sitting there angrily discussing what had just happened. And I've been on the phone for the last half an hour getting my money back. Oh, if you want to see Andrew barely holding on to his anger, there's a video for you, 30 Days of Porn. So...
Yeah.
And of course, being a dipstick, I signed up for that 3-day free trial to do this dumb YouTube video with my own email address. So now I have about 30 spam emails every single day.
Yeah.
Most of them from someone named Ashley Madison, who seems to have really taken a shine to me. I have no idea who this person is, or if this person even exists. May just be the name of a
Probably
company,
not.
like the Ashley Madison Foundation or some weird thing. But damned if I don't get like 5 emails from an Ashley Madison every single day. 13 Cube says he was pissed. Yes, he was. 30 Days of Kittens. That's a good idea. Every day I adopt a new or foster a new kitten or something, and then take it back. This one's broken. This is a malfunctioning kitty.
I think you might
Python already did that with a parrot.
get some red flags from the adoption agency over that when they do a background check on you.
On there's a video out there that if you watch, you might think, I don't think we should let Andrew be around kittens or kittens be around this guy. The sister version of that video, by the way, beat the mother version of that video by about 200,000 views last month. Just, I guess it got linked somewhere because the views on that went up, and I actually just had the best month on YouTube revenue that I have ever had. I earned, let me look real quick. I earned in YouTube revenue just short of $30, $29.22. That is a record for me. That is the most in YouTube ad revenue I've ever earned in a single month. So, yay! So I'm actually working on a kind of a thank you vid because between that and Patreon and a couple PayPal donations, that really helped cut a decent chunk out of the extra $100 my rent costs this month and every subsequent month. But so yeah, I mean, it's next month's YouTube earnings are going to be probably back down to $7 or $10 or whatever. But still, nice to have the help. Anyway, we should start the show because it's 7 after. So you got the stopwatch ready?
All right.
And don't worry, I'll keep that intro in. I won't edit it out, because maybe someone will be interested in hearing it. But show proper will start here in a sec. Oh, Jordan Thompson says, why are we discussing porn? We still have 9 more episodes before that, because this is episode 60 and 9 more would be 69. Which I'm still so mature that every time I hear that number, I giggle. I don't think you ever grow out of that stuff. So, all right, stopwatch ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 60. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody out there.
Yes, hello to
How was your week?
Man, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of dragging. I've been taking it mostly easy today because I slept about 10 hours, which I really needed because I didn't sleep the day before because work. I kid you not, I was up until 6 a.m. Friday morning working, and then I had to go to work that morning. In fact, someone called me at 10:30 that morning and it's like, are you coming into work? I'm like, oh, dude, man, come on. I was up till 6. I don't want, no, I won't be there until noon. Chill. So last night I went to bed and I got up this morning at like 10 or something, and I came out here on the couch and then immediately went back in my room to sleep for another hour. I was like, nope, not done yet. But it's good practice for the Extra Life charity marathon. So, let's see what else. I just this afternoon I beat the last story, which means I'll have to call my mom and tell her how that ended. The good guys win. It's a pretty great game. I really like it. As I've said before, I like it better than Xenoblade Chronicles, although I've not finished Xenoblade Chronicles. So I can't really compare the stories, I suppose. But one of the things I love about the game is how it handles its party system. One thing that I've never been a huge fan of when it comes to RPGs where you have a party of more than 3 people. A lot of times how games will handle that, and Xenoblade Chronicles does this too, is that you have like 5 people in your party, but only 3 can fight at a time. So the other, so you have to choose who your active members of the party are, and the other 2 are just kind of just standing over there picking their nose while you're fighting monsters. It's like, guys, jump on in here, come on. In Dragon Quest 4, well, it'd be called Dragon Warrior 4, you have like a party of 9 people, and you can only have 4 in your active party. So you've got 5 bozos sitting in the wagon, just, no, let us know when it's our turn. It's like, everybody get out here and rush the bad guy, you know? I've never liked that because it's just one of those things that just bugs me that the other players are just standing there. I mean, ostensibly in the game's internal logic, your other dudes and dudettes are just kind of standing there going, "Hi." No, it would be unfair if we joined in. It doesn't make any sense that they're standing there. I mean, from a technological perspective and gameplay balance perspective, it makes sense. But but I hate the fact that you have to constantly decide between characters and swap on in to make sure they level correctly. Although a lot of modern games do a nice job of giving the people in the car experience so they don't like fall completely behind. In Last Story, you have about 6 or 7 people in your party. And most dungeons you go through, you have 4 active party members. But what the game does is it gives a reason. It gives the other players something to do. It's like, okay, we're gonna go out and do this thing. You guys go and do the dungeon. Or you'll be in an area where you have your party of 6 and there's a fork in the road. It's like, okay, you 3 go that way, us 4 will go that way. You're like, and it makes sense why all of your party isn't always there, because they have their own lives. Sometimes we split up, sometimes they're off doing other things, and it really makes sense. And the game does a nice job of making you play with different combinations of characters and doing it in a functional story-based way. Although there are times when you have your entire party, who also the game has you earn dyes, DYEs, so that you can color different parts of your clothing and make them all pretty. But later in the game, you get the invisible dye, which makes your outfits invisible. So even though you get the benefits of wearing armor, you're standing around in your underwear. So at the end of the game, Mom and I are just giggling ourselves silly because all of our characters are wandering through the castle in their underwear, or plumbing the depths of the Rabbids cavern in their underwear, attending weddings in an underwear, attending a knighting ceremony in our underwear. Oh, it's fantastic. We are such children. Before we go ahead.
Say the party system thing is always been an interesting thing. Final Fantasy IV handled that pretty well, because there's story reasons why characters will leave you and you gain new characters, and you never have more than 5 characters at a time, and because of that. And then Final Fantasy VI came out, and that one, and you got a good, I don't remember how many characters there were in that one, but eventually you had more characters than you had parties, okay. But yeah, you had more characters than and so I think eventually, like when you got to the very last dungeon, there's a can split your group up into 3 parties, and even then, I think you had a couple extra characters. If you got everybody, you had a couple of extra characters that couldn't fit into these 3 parties to tackle this last dungeon. So yeah, and everybody has their favorite characters that they like to pick and choose and use as their final group. But yeah, some games handle it really well. Grandy is another game where characters leave you and you get new characters to join, and then there's the final group at the end of the game that you use to finish off all the content. So but yeah, I do agree that it's always weird when you have all these other characters just hanging around and they're not like going back to Final Fantasy VI, they're all back on the airship. If it's like, why are you hanging out in the airship? Come help. This Kefka Tower of Demons or Espers is like tall. We could use some help fighting all these things, but no.
Yeah, that's one of my mom and I always poke fun of that trope when it pops up, where you're with a character or group of characters, and you get to the dungeon or the fortress or the tower or whatever, and your companions say, "Okay, Andrew or Sir Fi or whoever," it's like, you go in and fight the demon lord. We'll stay out here and protect the perimeter. It's like, oh, you little ass, come on. They always do. I think the earliest I remember that, because we've been making fun of that since Star Wars, the one on the N64, Shadows of the Empire. There's a part where your character Dash Rendar is flying around with Luke Skywalker, and you come across this Imperial spaceship base, and Luke says, "Okay, Dash, you go inside. I'll protect the perimeter." It's like, you're the Jedi. Get your ass in here. I mean, come on. You can knock him over with your mind. I've just got a blaster. And we've made fun of that ever since. Another issue that I run into in RPGs, multi-party RPGs, occasionally, I've seen this in I've seen it in the Tales series. Even Skies of Arcadia does this a little bit. Is characters that come in and out of your party. You get a new character who joins your party, and you're like, okay, should I bother wasting money upgrading their stuff, or are they just gonna boogie after the next dungeon? You know, because you dump all this money, level it, you grind into up their level, and you dump money into their armor and their special weapon, and they're like, okay, I'm leaving, bye. And you're like, no, you owe me 100,000 gold that I invested in you. I expected you to stick around a lot longer, you jerk. So
yeah, those are those things. It's like, you know, once a character leaves, and if I didn't get all of their gear back, I have to debate myself whether I want to reset the game and go back to the last save so that I can remove all their gear before they leave, or if that's even possible. So like sometimes, a character will beat a boss, and then a cutscene will happen, and that character leaves right at the end of the cutscene, so you don't even get a chance to remove all their gear. That ticks me off. It's like, give me a chance to remove their gear between the last time I use them and when they leave, so that I don't lose all that money.
My stuff. I bought that stuff. As Gascan says in the chat, I replayed so many bosses so I can unequip them before they leave.
Yeah.
Matthew also
and sometimes
go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes it's like, okay, I'll even gauge how difficult the boss was, and try to figure out if I can beat the boss with this guy wearing no armor and using no weapons.
Yeah.
I've had to do that before. It's like, I don't want to lose this stuff to this battle naked. I don't care if you die or not.
That's right. Yeah, well, I don't care if you drop dead. You're leaving after this fight anyway. Oh, you didn't get experience for this? Oh, that's too bad. You're out of here, buddy. Matthew says, surprised no RPG has broken it up into several groups and you have to move them around the map. Yeah, that's more of a convention of strategy games, although the last story does have a couple of sequences where your party of like 6 people will splinter off into 2 or 3 groups. And there's even a sequence or 2 in the game where it's like, here's what Yurik was doing, and then you play a sequence as Yurik, and that's like, here's what Selene and Lowell are doing, and then you play a sequence as then, and here's Zale and Callista, and you play their sequence. So it does that a little bit, which is one of the things that I really like about the last story. It makes all the character, you do end up as playing as most all of the characters, I think, at some point or another. And it makes them feel like actual real people with interests. Sometimes they're off doing stuff. They're like, I'm really tired from the Catacombs raid that we did, so I'm going to stay home. It's like, I have no magic left. I can't shoot fireballs now. I need sleep. So you go off and raid the bandits' hideout. I got nothing, so good luck, kids. And it's like, oh, well, that's why Yurik's not with us today. He's sleepy. So But enough about RPGs. Although, can you really ever get enough of RPGs? I love that genre.
Yeah,
but let's
yeah, it's good. I have a lot of fun with it. So.
Oh yeah. So let's move to our first topic, which I'd like to talk about: Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Builder, Kingdom Battle. Sorry,
Kingdom Builder.
Although you
I
could
think
make
you're
it spin-off.
confusing games here.
Yeah. Oops. So Ubisoft actually showed some more of Kingdom Battle this week, and now this game is interesting because Mario plus Rabbids, the whole concept was leaked last fall, and there were a lot of people that were, oh, how would that even work? What? And my initial reaction was, badass. I'm down. Mario plus Rabbids. Good. Of course, I don't hate the Rabbids, so that probably helped. When it was unveiled at E3, or revealed at E3, people said, "Oh, well, actually, that looks kind of cool." A lot of people said, and now we've seen a bit more. So it's a kind of a XCOM-esque strategy game. And did you watch the trailer I sent you?
I didn't get the chance today. We were busy rearranging rooms, and we're switching my office with my girl's room, and it's I didn't get the chance to do much of anything today. And I tried watching it right before the podcast, but my internet was being a pain in the butt. So yeah, so I haven't had the chance to watch it.
Yeah, well, what it is it shows off a new area, the spooky haunted area, and it shows off one of the, I guess, bosses of the area, which is an opera singing rabbit, a very rotund opera singing rabbit who's fully voiced, full singing opera, and man, the Great Mighty Pooh, I think, from Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is an operatic pile of feces that sings at you. Yes, is one of the great moments of video games, and I don't think you'll ever top that. But I'm a musician myself, so anytime there's music is incorporated into gameplay, that's an interest of mine. And this looks to be a very funny sequence, very similar to Great Mighty Pooh, where I'm guessing between each phase he'll probably sing a verse or something, and the lyrics are very funny, making fun of Mario saying that "it's a me" and "let's a go" are the only words he knows, and he makes fun of the princess being in another castle, even though a couple of the rhymes are a little strained. But oh man, I really got a kick out of that trailer. And I'm sold. And also there's a lot of real neat things, like you've seen the ability for characters to gain ground by rebounding off their own people. So they'll use their movement. If they can reach one of their teammates, they can like spring off their teammate to get an extra distance from their movement. Apparently, there's the ability to do that twice. So you can spring off one person, at least one of the characters has this ability to spring off one character and then spring off a second teammate to go even further. And Booze, the ghosts are in there, and apparently they just, if you run into one or they run into you, they'll just warp you to a random spot on the battlefield. So this game looks like it could be really, really good. Unless you absolutely hate Rabbids, then it's probably going to annoy the hell out of you. But as long as you like, or at least don't mind Rabbids, this could be very good. So I'm thinking, man, could I be getting a Switch as early as the end of August, which is when the game comes out? And then I remembered Yakuza Kiwami comes out at the end of August, so probably not. So I'll probably spend September with the next Yakuza game, and then maybe get a Switch and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So what are your thoughts on the game? Is it something, is an XCOM type of game an interest of yours?
I've never played XCOM, and it's no reason, just never got around to it. But I do like strategy games. Those are always fun. But Man, I just do not have a taste for the Rabbids.
Mm.
To be honest, I've never played a Rabbids game, but I did watch some of the Rabbids shorts, cartoon
Oh,
shorts
sure, yeah.
that were produced. Are super annoying, and I just did not care for it at all. I might give this game a try. I don't think I would buy it right away.
Hmm.
If there's a demo or I'm with somebody that has it, I'll give it a shot and see what I think. But yeah, it's not a game that I'm going to buy a Switch for.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah,
the thing that my biggest question mark for the game so far, I'm pretty solidly sold as far as design and characters and actual battle mechanics go. My big question mark is there enough interesting to do between battle sequences? Because most of what we've
yeah,
seen so far is walking along a very linear path to the next battle. So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to
Well,
say
and
if that's an engaging part of play or not.
I don't think that's generally an engaging part of play for much of anything. Thinking back to um, New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii, you had your have your world
Overworld
maps,
map,
and
yeah.
it's just the overworld maps, and it's very much like Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super, where you just kind of walk around. But I
Yeah.
do remember a New Super Mario Brothers had a few elements where there would be giant Goombas or piranha plants that would be wandering around, and you would have to try to avoid them as you're going to the next levels.
Hmm.
Um, because if you don't, you ended up in a mini game battle mode or something,
Yeah.
which is something you could do anyways, or they might knock you back to a different part of the map or something. And then you had all the toad houses and stuff to go visit
Yeah.
as well. But that's probably the most I would think you would get out of
Yeah, I guess if it really is just kind of a overworld map more than anything else, and as long as it's not too long of a walk between. My concern is that walking to each battle is just going to be boring, um, because it's just too
yeah.
long. In XCOM, you're at your base and you develop technologies and you spend your time and resources doing stuff, getting gear and hiring people and outfitting them, and then getting a party together and
Hmm.
saying, okay, I'm going to go do this mission, and it's a matter of the mission loading. There's no, okay, now let's walk to the mission, you know, um, or there's no, like, you go to an overworld map and the plane goes, we're flying to the mission drop point. You don't actually have to drive or fly your plane there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so again, it's not something
Uh,
I'm really overly concerned with. It's just a question mark because that's an area of
yeah.
the game that, understandably so, Ubisoft is not really focusing on demonstrating. But I do like what I've seen so far. I love the design and aesthetic. I love the. I think the battle system looks really, really cool. And every time they unveil something new, I'm like, wow, that's actually. I mean, as Matthew points out, it certainly doesn't look XCOM deep, but that's
Yeah.
this looks like as the one of the Firaxis folk who saw it says, this is great because I'd love to play this with my daughter, and then maybe we can move on to XCOM. And from some of the outlets I've seen reviewing the latest preview build of the game, they said this actually gets really hard. So I'm
Nice.
really excited to try it out.
Um,
And it's got
but
a
I
singing
wanted to say
operatic
one.
bunny in it, so that's exciting.
Yeah. But one game that I really like the mission transitions for
Hmm.
was Valkyria Chronicles, where it had the
Yes, the
book and each there was a series of story battles, and they were like little pictures on the open pages of the book, and then between them you had scenes that you could click on and watch the story cutscenes, and those are dispersed between the mission battles, and occasionally there would be like a side mission that you could go on. It wasn't a mandatory one, but if you wanted a little extra experience or whatever, you should. And then they had all the base features along the side, where if you wanted to go to the the tank shop to outfit your tank, or the armory or whatever, you could go and do all that, and all those selections were on the side, and that was a really cool thing. And
it basically took.
I thought was a really neat.
Yeah, it basically took what in a lot of games might just be menu options and really made them feel like part of the world in a lived-in space. Man, folks, play Valkyria Chronicles. It's actually, I think it's the first PS3 game I ever played through and beat when my sister bought me a PS3 a couple years ago. And man, is that a great game. All the things I'm hearing about that new one are making me very sad.
Yeah, it seems like they took everything that was great about the Valkyria Chronicles series and threw it out.
Reminds me
that's
of
that's what it sounds like.
Reminds me of the 3DS version of Chibi Robo. It's like, all right, let's take everything people loved and everything that was good about this game and get rid of it. Oh man, I got Chibi Robo 3D Photo Finder or whatever it's called. Man, I got it, I think, for free off of like a Nintendo. I spent like Nintendo points on it and got it for free. It's genuinely terrible and poorly designed. I was really surprised by how bad it was, because Chibi Robo on the GameCube, actually did it on the Extra Life charity event one year. Such a wonderful little game. I wish that would have caught on and they had made some more of those, because it's just so darn great. Yes, Valkyria Chronicles is on the PC also, so no excuse.
Yeah.
No excuse, you PC gamers.
Yeah, but sadly, the actual sequels are not on PC.
The sequels only are on Vita, I think, aren't they? Or PSP?
PSP. Yeah, but I think you can get them digitally now and play them on your Vita, I think. But yeah, it was kind of sad. But I've got a PSP, so they're on my wish list for games to buy.
Yeah. So let us switch topics and talk about another game which looks absolutely incredible and something that you're going to want to buy a Switch for, and that's Senran Kagura. I'm guessing you didn't see the video I sent you.
I didn't. I think. Yeah, I didn't see that because, again, my internet was being a pain. But
I'm actually going to do a sister reacts. I'm going to show this to my sister and film her reaction. I can't do it right. I was going to do it this weekend, but she's like sick this weekend, so she can't do it. So, and I don't mean to dump on Senran Kagura. I've never played any of the games. I don't know if they're any good or not. I think the design aesthetic is a bit obnoxious, but it's a brawler. Most of them are anyway. There's one, and I forget its name. It's called. I forgot its name. And I'm going to try and tell you what it's called. I have no idea, but it's basically, it looks like a regular shooter with squirt guns. Because why not?
Yeah.
Put all the girls in bikinis and wander around and hit each other with squirt guns. Okay, cool. One of them for the Switch is a pinball game, which we've seen no footage of, but from what the creator's intimating, ladies' bodies are going to be the pinball board. So I guess their breasts are going to be the bumpers. Which it's like, so there's only two bumpers. I don't know what. I don't know if you're literally playing pinball on a woman's body or if the pinball board just has pictures of busty women on it. Not sure. Either way, pinball is fun. So as salacious and ribald as the game may be, it could just be fun just because
Yeah.
it's pinball and pinball is fun. And never count out weird pinball games because Metroid pinball is great. Kirby pinball is great. Even that weird, I forget which system it's on, but it's like Demon something. That there's some weird where you're like playing pinball with alien monsters, Demon Crush or something like that. It's actually pretty good. So
Yeah.
pinball games actually have a decent, the weird ones where you're like, wait, what? They have a, how come they have not done a Katamari Damacy pinball game?
Yeah,
Come on
that
now.
one would probably be interesting because it's like you play it and you're as you're playing the ball gets bigger and then you have to and then it consumes the machine and
Yeah. Alien
uh,
Crush. Thank you,
but
13U Cube. I'm glad I was describing
yeah.
it well enough that someone knew what the hell I was talking about. So the main series is a brawler, 2D brawler, but
Yeah.
it's also being remade as a 3D brawler, which is coming to the PS4. But what is the Switch getting? Not the mainline game. It's getting some type of pinball game, and it's getting what was translated as a love adventure game. Which, when I first heard that, I was like, well, if you mean like kind of like a point and click adventure game, that could be kind of
Yeah.
neat. You have to click in the right places to get the items to do stuff. I don't know. I like adventure games and I like point and click adventure games. But we saw some footage of this game. That's not what it looks like. It looks basically like a dating sim where you have to poke the lady in the right spot to make her like you. Which we've seen in a lot of different versions of a lot of different versions of this in a lot of different games. This one is based heavily on the HD rumble motors and the Joy-Con. So I guess you play whichever character that is. The one with the large breasts. Did I narrow it down for you? Do you know which character I'm talking about? The one with the dark hair. That narrows it down a little bit. I guess she's a sports person, and you're her fitness manager or something, or physical therapist, because the first thing you're doing in the game, or at least what they demoed, is she has her hand stuck out to you like this, and there's an overlay which looks like the Joy-Con analog stick. So you're jiggling the analog sticks like you're massaging the insides of her palms and yanking on her fingers. Maybe she farts if you do that. I don't know. That'd be great, though. But I guess you have it's supposed to really simulate, with the HD rumble motors, really simulate massaging the palm of someone's hand. And I'm like, great. Why would I want to do that, though? I mean, it's weird, and I'm all about weird stuff, and then the next scene, you're punching her in her thigh. She is sitting there in bicycle shorts, and she's just got her leg up like this. And there are two little floating disembodied hands going thump 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 thump, and you have the Joy-Cons, and you're just speed bagging on her in her thigh. And I'm like, great, thigh punching simulator. This is exactly what I want to do in my spare time. It is so damn weird. And then the last one,
that is weird.
She's on all fours with her butt sticking at you, and you're using a spiky roller, kind of like a rolling pin, but with soft spikes on it, and you're working it up and down her hamstring. And I'm like, it is the weirdest damn thing. I'm like, okay. And reading the text, it's coming out for the Switch for only about $10. So I'm guessing this is not a very long or deep experience, and I'm guessing if this sells,
not,
we'll have a new sequence for each of the game's major characters. Hey, Codename Z. But
sounds like
it's definitely worth a watch just because you're like, really? That's the weirdest damn thing. I mean,
it sounds like a weird a weird massage fetish version of a 1-2 switch.
There you go. It's like, my favorite was milking the cow. Well, now you can punch a woman in her thigh and roll out her hamstring and pull her finger, all with the support of HD Rumble. It's weird, and I like weird, but it doesn't actually look fun. It's like, oh my gosh, you can do this, and it's like, great. But why? I mean, being weird is great, but to me, it's not enough in and of itself. I just wonder if this will actually be entertaining to play at all.
Yeah. It doesn't sound all that interesting either. If that's all this game is, it's like, why even release it on the Switch? Do they really expect to make a lot of money off of this, or is this just something that they said, oh, this is kind of cool, let's see what we can do with it. Oh, we made this. Okay, what do we do with it? Well, let's release it. It's like, what? Why?
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering about the market for this. I'm like, who wants to play this and why? And I don't mean that. I don't mean any sense of judgment. I mean that genuinely as a curiosity. It's like, why do you enjoy this? What's fun or engaging about this for you? I'm just genuinely interested in judgment there. But I found the names.
Yeah.
The squirt gun game is called Peach Beach Splash. The pinball game is called Peach Ball. It's something. What is with you and peaches? And then this thigh punching game is called Shinobi Reffle. My guess is that's probably like a English abbreviation of a Japanese word or something or one of those Japanese words that's kind of a Japanese phonetic pronunciation of a longer English word and then shortened. So I have no idea what it is anymore. The PS4 remake is a Burst Renewal. And let's see, there's another one. Shinobi Master Senran Kagura : New Link. I think there's a sixth one. Oh, it's that's an iOS and Android game. Okay, it's a mobile game. So yeah, Senran Kagura. So as soon as my sister, I'm going to show her that trailer and film her reaction to it. Should be fun.
Yeah, but I think if those were, say, mini games, within a larger game, like you said, the game that series that it's based off of is a brawler,
right?
If that was something you could do in between levels or something, I guess that would be, it be weird, but it would at least not be the only thing the game is. That there would actually be something that would appeal to more people in the brawler levels.
Yeah, maybe there's just a really interesting story going on here.
A really interesting story.
Yeah, maybe the dialogue is just where it's at. I have no idea, or maybe it's just one of those. It's weird for weird's sake, and if you just want something really weird, you will never. Are you going to be able to punch a woman's inner thigh in any other game? I think not. So if you want to speed bag someone's inner thigh, then Senran Kagura Shinobi Reffle, whatever it's called, is a game for you. And hey, it's only $10, so you're probably not out on much, unless the demonstration is like the entirety of the game. But I'm sure you can massage all sorts of things. So let's move on to Arcade Archives, which is something that Hamster's putting out on the Switch and the PS4 and Xbox One, and has been for those latter two, has been releasing its old arcade games for Xbox One and PS4 for 2 years, something like that, and they're coming out on the Switch. It's one of the most reliable releases on the Switch right now. Every week we're getting a new Neo Geo or old Hamster published arcade game. So a lot of the Fatal Fury games, Metal Slug, A lot of those
Yeah,
old
the
arcade games.
monsters.
Yeah. So
That was a game I enjoyed playing that on the Super Nintendo, even though it's not as good as the arcade one. But
what's interesting is some of these games showed up on the Wii eShop, and they were 900 points, which is $9. They're all
yeah,
$8 on the Switch, so they're a little bit cheaper.
well,
But
that's good.
here's what I wanted to talk about. And I've talked about this with Nintendo's Virtual Console pricing before. I think that $8 is too much. Um,
Yeah,
from the perspective of blind buying, because at $8, and maybe I'm just incredibly cheap here, but at $8, I'm only going to buy the games that I know and remember and know I like.
yeah,
There's a lot of weird, obscure stuff that even I've never heard of, but for $8, I'm probably not going to just blind buy it and give it a try, you know?
yeah,
If they were all $1 a piece, I'd just buy them all. Have the entire Neo Geo arcade collection and the Hamster published arcade collection, you know?
yeah,
And I have to wonder, there's 50 games. I would probably buy maybe 3 of the ones that I knew, so that's $24. Or
yeah.
I'd just buy them all if they were $1, and that's $50. You know, so I wonder if there, maybe $1's too cheap, but I wonder if there's a balance there, a price somewhere between those two extremes that would be more profitable for a Hamster in the long run. Because I have to
$4.
imagine that some people are eight, you know, because you're looking at like $400 worth of product out there right now, depending on how many games. Hi,
Yeah.
Magnetic Lake. Um, what are your thoughts on that? You think $8 is too much, too little, right? Just right? What are your thoughts?
I think it depends on the game. You know, that's one of the issues that I've had with the Virtual Console for a long time is that Nintendo set a set price for each console,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no there's no there's no way that you can adjust that. It's like if you've got a Super Nintendo game, it doesn't matter what it is. You could have
I think there were a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, that's
yeah.
true. It was
For the most
NES was
part, it's
$5,
like
SNES was $8, and
yeah,
N64 was 10.
something like that. Yeah, but it's like say so like this the N64. It's
Mm-hmm.
like Ocarina of Time, $10. Yes, an excellent game. $10 is a great deal. Superman 64, $10. What? Why are you even charging for that? It's like that's the disparity that we've got in this rigid price structure that Nintendo has set, and so I think it would be better for Nintendo and better for um, the the companies that have the licenses for these games or have the who own the IP to allow them to say to set a lower price for games that are either not well known or were not well received at the time, and so a lower price point would likely get more sales than the high one, and leave the high price for those games that are just awesome.
Metal Slug is never dropping in price because everyone
Yeah,
knows it and loves it. I get that. And to be clear, something that Codename Z pointed out is Hamster sets the prices for its arcade archive stuff. Nintendo
yeah,
doesn't. But Nintendo did set the price for its NES, SNES, and
yeah,
N64 games. But you're right. It really, as another example, NES, Super Mario Brothers, The Legend of Zelda, $5. Absolutely. Golf? No. Pinball? No. Even
yeah.
Joust or Balloon Pop? No. Balloon Fight? No, those are not $5 games. I'm sorry.
No, they're not. Yeah,
Um,
$2. You could probably swing a few more sales at
eh,
like $2. But yeah, I think Nintendo is just one of those. Nintendo was one of the companies that spoke out against the race to the bottom, the race to dollar pricing when the iPhone came out, where
mhm.
it's like you had this huge influx of games, and then everybody started lowering their prices all the way down to $1, and it's like and then people wouldn't buy games unless it was $1. And Nintendo came out and said, these guys are shooting themselves in the foot doing this this price battle. You
Yeah,
gotta,
and there is something to be said for devaluing your new games, but those are new games.
yeah,
The virtual console stuff are decades old. I think
yeah,
it's okay to sell a 30-year-old game for $1. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Especially a 30-year-old game that there's not a lot of content in it, like Balloon Fight. That
Mhm.
one is just, there. $5 is not something that most people would pay to have a little game where you have to try to pop the balloon that's keeping you guys afloat, your two characters afloat, and yeah, it's not $5 worth.
But I,
Um,
I do think that Nintendo and Hamster and other companies might behoove. I mean, look how popular Steam sales and good old game sales are. I
yeah,
rarely, well, even PSN. I'm not so much. I'm not as familiar with Xbox Marketplace, but the PSN is constantly having flash sales and stuff like that, and to move product, and that's great. And you find
yeah,
new and try new things. That almost never happens on Nintendo's console. I mean, they do have promotions, but their discounts are like really crap.
yeah.
Here's this old game, instead of $49.99, you can get it for $46.99. It's like, oh, come on, stop wasting my time. I've been waiting for Project Fatal Frame, Made in the Black Water, to drop in price. I don't think it ever has. It's like
No.
Nintendo. Nobody is going to pay $50 for this game. One, drop the price. Two, do a Halloween sale, for crying out loud. You know?
Yeah,
Oh man, you are never going to sell it at that price. I'm sorry. Uh,
yeah, yeah. Nintendo
or
needs
maybe I'm just
to.
cheap. I don't know.
Well, there's that too, but
Yeah.
but no, Nintendo does need to get a little more sale happy than it is.
Yeah.
They don't have to do like a regular monthly sale or anything like that, but say February, the holiday rush is over, people have played all their Christmas games, February, March rolls around, you know, do a mass sale. Say, hey,
Hmm.
virtual console games are now 50% off. They would sell a lot of virtual console games if
Yeah.
they did that.
Or even the arcade archives. If they did something like just a one-off promotion, 5 games for $5. Pick any 5 of our games for $1 a piece.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like, okay, I'll try out Waka Waka 7, whatever the hell that, or Waka Waka 7, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. World Warrior's perfect. It's $1. Great. Give them a chance to either just pull the trigger on games that they're not sure about. I mean, I
yeah,
just read a list of like 6 more games coming to Arcade Archives, and like half of them I'd never even heard of. There was a magician thing. I forget what it's called, Magician Land or Magician something. And someone's like, "Oh my god, I remember it! It's so awesome!" I'm like, "Wow, I'd check it out, but not for $8. If it was a
yeah,
buck, maybe I'd give it a try." But Nintendo has a Halloween sale every year. Yes, it does, but Fatal Frame was not on it. So, which seems like the perfect game to have as part of that sale.
yeah,
I think I even tweeted some sass at them at the time. It's like, what would be a good game to drop in price? Yeah.
yeah.
So, anyway, those are my thoughts. Of course, I am cheap.
Yeah, I am too. I have kids and I have a wife and kids, and so I don't have money to spend on games unless it's something like the Humble Bundle where I can buy a dozen games for $10. It's like,
Yeah.
and I get tons of fun out of it. It's like this week I've been playing Stardew Valley, which I picked up in a Humble Bundle, and I'm loving this game to death. And it's I I've never played I've never played a game like this before. I'm trying to remember Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing or anything like that. I've never played any of those games. They just never appealed to me. And then everybody talked about how great Stardew Valley is, and then it popped up in a Humble Bundle. I'm like, okay, I'll get this Humble Bundle and try out Stardew Valley. And I'm like, man, what was I thinking? Why did I not get this game earlier? Because I'm just having tons of fun. I'm only halfway through the first year, and and the game has just been a lot of fun and a lot to do. I don't know how the late game is going to be. I've been watching some videos of people who've been playing that, and they're at like year 50, year 100 and stuff, and they just at that point they're just experimenting with what they can do on their farms. But yeah, it's there's a lot to be said for sales and discounts and getting people to buy games, because once you get over that initial sales spike in the first month, your sales are going to be really flat and low from that point on, if you even have sales. And discounts are one way to have little spikes of sales throughout that long tail. And
that might even be a good use for amiibo. It's like, would you like to buy Super Mario Galaxy on the virtual console? It's $50, great. But for every Mario amiibo you scan, it's $1 off. And it's like, oh, great, because I've got like 3 Mario amiibos and a Princess Peach, so that's $4 off. Whee! Or for every Smash Brothers amiibo you can buy the digital version of Smash Brothers. Every Smash Brothers amiibo you have takes $1 off the price. I mean, Nintendo could easily eat that cost. I mean, they're all $15 a piece. You ain't losing that much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Be creative, Nintendo. Come on, you're good at that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Mayo won the Splatfest? Really? Against Ketchup?
Yeah, I don't get that. I heard that one was a pretty tight race for a while.
Yeah, it was pretty tight, but
yeah, because Ice Cream and Cake was it was no cakewalk for Cake, I guess you could say, because Ice Cream just trampled it to death. But yeah, Ketchup and Mayo. My daughter puts mayo on her hot dogs, and I just have to shake my head.
Like, one of your kids is defective.
Yes.
I don't have anything against mayo. Mayo's fine. I mean,
it just doesn't have flavor enough for me. Give me a bottle of ranch. I'll put some ranch on my sandwich, but no, I won't put mayo on my sandwich.
Well, here's the thing. If I came over for lunch and you gave me a sandwich and it had mayo on it, I would eat it. But I would never actually go to the fridge to get mayo on purpose. Ketchup, on the other side, I would actually get that for certain things, like French fries or tater tots or something like that. But mayo I would never deliberately put on anything. I'll eat it if it's there, if it already happens to be on a sandwich. But yeah, so that one kind of surprised me. I mean, it was close, but I was expecting just ketchup all all much like Ice Cream and Cake.
Yeah,
but
there are
Magnetic Lake knows where it's at. It says ketchup is better than mayo.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but yeah, I think I don't get that one, but yeah.
Did they do a cats and dogs Splatfest last game? They had to have cats and dogs at some point.
I don't remember.
Mayo, bologna, cheese, and onion sandwich, says Born Distracted. Oh, num num.
Yeah, I'm not a big bologna fan. I don't know. I just never really liked bologna.
Bologna was fine. I think when I was a kid, I was just kind of enamored of that piece of plastic ring around the outside, because I never understood what it was for, because it's the only meat product I'd ever seen that had this weird piece of plastic around it.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's because if it weren't in a tube, it would just kind of when it was being
bologna paste.
But yeah, I'm not a bologna fan.
Scrape it out with a spackle knife and just smear it on a piece of bread.
Yeah, but salami, I'll eat salami, and I'll even get the cheap stuff. That's the same price as the bologna you would buy, and I'll eat that. But yeah, I don't like bologna.
13U Cube reports that the last game did do a cats versus dogs,
And
and
dogs
dogs won
Good.
because there is no justice in the world.
No, cats are evil. I hate cats. No, I don't hate cats. I'm just allergic and cats know that. And so anytime I go to somebody's house and they have inside cats, those cats will seek me out and just hang out by me the entire time I'm there. And
You're like, hey, buddy,
yeah.
allergic, huh? That's too bad.
Yeah.
All right. Last topic, and this is one of yours.
All right.
Apparently, board games are doing better than video games on Kickstarter now.
Yeah, it's been a big thing. There's a lot of people out there track Kickstarters, and especially with video games. They track the overall trends for on Kickstarter about. Man, I need to fix the contrast on my screen. It is so bright. But they track it all, and this Thomas. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. If you're watching, Thomas, I'm sorry, but I'm going to call you Badeau. But I don't know how to say your last name. But from now on, I'll refer to you as Thomas. But he wrote on Gamma Sutra.
French, no idea.
Yeah, but he wrote on Gamma Sutra in a guest blog his observations on Kickstarter. And so a few things to note before we get in is that the total number of projects, like all projects on Kickstarter, had a huge spike from the first half of 2014 to the second half. There's a near doubling of projects between those two halves of the year. But ever since that huge spike, it's been on a steady decline, where now at the first half of 2017, we're back just slightly over the first half of 2014 levels. And then the projects that have, and then he broke it down, projects that were funded and projects that weren't. The funded projects had a slight increase. It's like, ever so slightly in the second half of 2014, and then they've kind of trended downwards, but not as sharp as a slope as the overall total projects. But yeah, the vast majority of projects on Kickstarter, regardless of what they are, don't get funded. So like say that in 2017, the first half of the year, there were a total of 26,194 projects. Only 9,488 of them were successfully funded. But money-wise, the money has stayed pretty high, where for the first half of the year, $285 million, almost $286 million. That's how much were pledged for these successful projects. And that's been a relatively upward trend, except for a slight dip in the first half of 2016. So, if that dip in the first half of 2016 is any indication, the second half of 2016 is going to have a little bit higher coming out of that. But when you look at the games category, the games category, and this is all games, board games, card games, video games, and whatever other game categories they have. So all games, there's been a slight decrease in total projects from 2015, which was the high, the second half of 2015. So we're down to 3,340 projects in the games category. Only 1,404 of those projects have been successfully funded so far this year. And for a total of $83 million. And this is something that, successful projects have been on an incline. They've been increasing from year to year. There hasn't been an actual dip except for
across the board.
Yeah, just for all games, all games. There's been a steady increase of successful projects, which is actually a really good thing. but he broke it down into between video games and tabletop games. And when he says tabletop games, it's everything from card games to board games and role playing. Is that the reason we have that steady increase in funded projects is because of tabletop gaming. He first shows us the video game thing, where the total number of video game projects has actually gone down since 2015. The second half of the first half of 2015, there was 1,075 projects in the video game subcategory, and so far this year there's only been 869, and that's just, it's been decreasing every half a year since 2014. And so but the successful video game projects have been relatively stable, hanging out in the upper hundreds to low 200s, throughout that entire time. So it's like any increase or decrease in game projects is due to all the failed projects. But when you look at tabletop games, those guys are just on an upward trajectory for everything. You have, the first half of the year, there were 1,538 tabletop games, and with 967 successful tabletop games, and only 581 unsuccessful ones. So, tabletop games, they're being successful despite the trends overall in Kickstarter, and they're making tons of money too. Let's see, video games had only 179, so there's really no comparison, I guess. 179 successful projects for about 9.5 million. Tabletop games had 957 for a total of almost $70 million, and it's just going up every half year, and that is, I find that really amazing. And and I've seen this in Oklahoma, because I track specifically Oklahoma Kickstarters, just because that's the little niche that I'm focusing on right now, and
is where you live.
And and we don't. There's not very many video game Kickstarters. We've had one successful one that I'm aware of. I'd have to double check, but we've had so we had one successful video game Kickstarter, and that only made like $20-something thousand, and they were shooting for $20,000, but so they met their goal, and then just like some pocket change afterwards. But we've had in the last 5 years or so, we've had quite a few tabletop and card games successfully funded. I think, there's been more successful tabletop game Kickstarters in Oklahoma than there have been unsuccessful ones. And so, yeah, I find this a very interesting trend. And the article on Gamma Sutra, and then there's there was a editorial posted on gamesindustry.biz, and that talked about the same thing. And the conclusion, what I get out of this is that, and this is what they talk about, is that board games, card games, and stuff are all pretty easy to get successfully funded, because there's an entire industry built around self-publishing card games and tabletop games, where all you do the you do the design, you do the artwork, you make all the templates, and then you send those templates to a printer or a company that actually produces these things. They make boxes, they make all the cards and everything for you, and it's a relatively inexpensive process. And so when these Kickstarters for tabletop games go in when they launch their Kickstarter. Generally, it's everything is done. We've got our rules in place. We've got our art in place. We've designed the board. We've designed all the extra pieces. All we need is for you to buy it, and we'll send that all to this fulfillment company. They'll make it, and then they'll ship it to you, or they'll ship it to us, and we'll ship it to you, however that works out.
Yeah.
And so basically all the hard work has already been done by the time the tabletop game hits Kickstarter. And so people are more willing to back something like that. Whereas video games, man, the vast majority of video games Kickstarters are, here's an idea for a game I have, pay me money. And some of these they won't even have a pitch video. They won't have any kind of art in the body of it. It's just like, I want to make a game, and it's like, really? You haven't even done anything, and you want us to pay you to not do anything else? And that's what the vast majority of them are. Not all unsuccessful Kickstarters are like that, though. Some of them are well-meaning. They've worked hard to design it. They've even developed a prototype. It's just it doesn't hit that. They either don't have a large enough following to get the attention, or it's just not a game concept that really speaks to enough people. But yeah, so generally with video games, it's you either have to be a very big brand, so like a Double Fine type brand, a Tim Schafer, or you have to have successfully released games in the past and built up a following, and they're like, and those people are willing to back you. So like Zeboid Games with Cosmic Star Heroine, they had successful RPG launches in the past, and even had a good, they even had a good deal with Penny Arcade, and so they went to Kickstarter and managed to reach their goal, and then a little extra on top. So yeah, it's one of those things. Video games is they're very difficult to get successfully launched and funded on Kickstarter without that previous work, years of work to develop a brand and a following to succeed. Whereas tabletop games, that following, that brand helps, especially if you have a larger goal and you want to make more money. But having just, one of the companies here in Oklahoma, Bowtie Games, they've gone by various names throughout the years. I don't know why they don't stick to one specific name, but I think the last one that I remember was Bowtie Games. They just make little fun, card games. It's just like something the size of a deck of cards, and you can play 2 to 4 people, and or a couple of deck of cards or whatever, and it's just fun little games that he makes, and he makes a few $1,000s off of each of these things. I think one of his got into the 5 figures, but he doesn't do it to make millions. He's just like, I have this really cool idea for a game, let me make let me write the rules, make the cards, and put it on Kickstarter. And he's had a few failures, but the vast majority of his games have been successful because they're really easy to understand and grasp, and he doesn't have a high very high funding goal that he's shooting for. He's just like, I want to make a couple hundred people happy with this game that I thought up.
Yeah, I imagine the goal is probably based on what the fulfillment company's minimum order number is.
Yeah, generally, the guy that Bowtie Games, I've talked to him in the past because he doesn't sell the games after Kickstarter. It's like once the games are once the Kickstarter's done and he's fulfilled the Kickstarter, he doesn't sell the games after that. And I asked him about it because I had missed a couple of Kickstarters of his, and I'm like, man, that would be fun to play. And I'm like, do you have any more of these? And he's like, no, sorry, I ran out of those ones, because he I guess he buys a few extras, like if the Kickstarter isn't enough to meet a certain price threshold with the fulfillment company, he'll throw in a couple extra, a couple of $100 extra to reach that, and then he'll try to sell or give away the extras or something. But yeah, he said the ones that I was looking for, he doesn't have any extra, and I was just like, I was really sad. But yeah, but yeah, I could, definitely the minimum or a price, minimum quantities for the fulfillment company is a big issue, big thing there too. So, but yeah, so yeah, I guess to oh, excuse me, the idea to take away from all this is that if you want to have a successfully funded Kickstarter, gaming Kickstarter, go into board games, go into tabletop games, because that's where the money is right now. The success is right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So 13UQ asked, did you feel an earthquake yesterday?
Oh yes, there was a couple of days ago. I don't remember if I felt one yesterday, but the last few days have been really heavy earthquakes in the center of Oklahoma, and there have been a few that have hit, and one of them, I was in bed half asleep, and it just felt like something hit our house, because it was just like and it woke me up, freaked me out. And it was a 4 point something, and then like the very next day while I'm at work, the same thing. It felt like something hit the building, and then that night I was watching TV with my wife, but she had stepped into the kitchen, and then just as she was coming back from the kitchen, another one of those hit, and she kind of freaked out and kind of jumped through the kitchen door into the living room, and then it woke up half my kids. And so yeah, it's been a pretty heavy earthquake week this week. Probably nothing compared to what California gets, but this is Oklahoma. We're not supposed to have earthquakes.
No. Yeah, we kind of get annoyed by earthquakes, unless it's knocking a building over. We don't care. We're like,
it knocked something off my shelf again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst ones really are the kind of rolling ones.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't shake, it just kind of moves like a giant waterbed or something. Those actually kind of make me nauseous. They make me dizzy. I don't like those. I'm like, stop moving. Stop moving.
Yeah, here in Oklahoma, they're never, or at least I don't recall any sustained earthquakes. They're just usually
just like a momentary slam.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It just shakes for like half a second or a second, and then that's all. And then it's over.
Yeah, I had one that was one of those, and I thought, did someone upstairs drop a refrigerator on its side or something? There's just bam, everything shakes, and you're like, did somebody drop something really heavy? But
so Codename Z asks about your For Everything But the Wii U list. Did you finalize that, and are you going to do a video about it?
Yeah, it's just a lot of work. And it's hard to figure out an interesting way to. I have to decide what information I want to put in it, without just doing a complete repeat of the second video I did.
Yeah,
which was looking at some interesting stats, and I can do that again. But some of the brainstorming I've done has kind of devolved into me kind of explaining what the initial rules were, the very simple set of rules, and how the more time passed and the more I looked into it, the more I'd find games where I just have to make judgment calls. I mean, for example, when I first did the list, it was really easy. Look, if it's on the PS3 and the 360, but it's not on the Wii U, it counts. Well, what if it came out on the PS3 or the 360 before the Wii U came out? Oh, well, okay. If it came out on the PS3 and the 360, but not the Wii U, as of November 18th, 2012, when the Wii U came out, then it counts. Okay, cool. Well, what if it came out on the PS3 after the Wii U came out, but it came out on the 360 before the Wii U came out? Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, if they ported it to the PS3 years later, they could have ported it to the Wii U. So yeah, I guess that counts.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about bundles where because I've seen a couple where Ubisoft will package together 3 of the Assassin's Creed games. It's like, does that count? It's like, well, are they new games? It's like, well, one of them is. It's like, okay, well, I guess one of them counts. Or it's like, okay,
Yeah.
or what about special Game of the Year editions? Well, is it really a new game? It's like, well, it's a new pressing of the disc. Okay, that I guess that would count. I mean, if it's just the original disc with a download voucher for the DLC, it's really nothing new, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what if the Xbox 360 version is a disc and is the original disc and a download code, and the PS3 version is is a brand new disc with everything included on the disc? Oh God! So it gets really absurdly complicated, and it became kind of a pain in the ass to the point where I kind of lost enthusiasm for it. I'll still do it. I don't know when.
I think a good way to close this out and just do a memorial montage. Like how they do the memorial videos, like where the people who died before the school reunion. They do a little memorial video of like that. Just do a memorial video or a video in that fashion where you do highlights of these are the coolest games that came out for everything but the Wii U. And
that'd be interesting because there's regardless of how you count, there's over 300 games. I think let me look real quick.
I'm sure you wouldn't be able to license In the Arms of the Angels or whatever that song is. But
304.
I'm sure you could come up with something.
Yeah, there's 304 games on my list. I have a list of like 10 or so games that are close, but it's one of those things where the PS3 version would kind of count, but the 360 version doesn't count. It's kind of a mess. But Codename C says Game of the Year edition does not count for me because it's just an old game with DLC included. It's like if you ask, is a director's cut of a movie a new movie? Well, I don't look at it as a new game or a new movie. I look at it as a new opportunity to bring the game to an additional platform. Yeah. I mean, if they put some damn work into doing something, they could have put some damn work into doing it for the Wii U too, but they did not. But if it's just the original disc with a voucher for a download code, then there was no new work done. It's basically just a repackage of something old. So it's a fine line, I grant you. But so another thing I was thinking about doing was kind of doing the stats and questions of stuff, but looking at 2 different totals, the full complete list and a more abbreviated list where stuff like Game of the Year editions don't count. So it is still something that's on my radar, and it is something I think about and occasionally brainstorm. Although I do like that in memoriam idea, because all 300 that would take forever. I'd have to get a really long song to do that. People would be like, "Oh my god, this is boring." On the other hand, one thing I like about that is it really visually shows how many games were made for the PS3 and the 360, but they just completely ignored the Wii U. And the reason I did that list is because the Wii U was just as powerful little bit more powerful than the PS3 and 360, which is not surprising, being that they were 6 and 7 years older at the time. You would expect it to be, and that's the reason why I'm not doing it for everything but Switch list. It's because it doesn't make any sense. There's a good reason for games to come out on the PS4 and the Xbox One, but not the Switch, because the Switch is significantly less powerful. So, Assassin's Creed Origins. Yeah, it's not coming out on the Switch. It wouldn't run on the Switch, not without some significant retooling and downgrading. So that's why I'm not doing a for everything but Switch type of list. But anyway, there's my long-winded answer to that. I did want to hit something real quick before we go. Last week,
all right,
we were talking about Metroid Samus Returns and its amiibo shenanigans. Nintendo actually clarified this week exactly what each amiibo did, and so I wanted to describe that. 3 of the amiibos added a missile tank or an energy tank or a Aeon tank, some other resource, and we weren't sure if it was just like, is it an additional 5 missiles or an actual additional energy tank? What it is you know how in The Legend of Zelda, if you have an empty bottle and you catch a fairy in your empty bottle and you die, the fairy will revive you?
Yeah.
That's what these are. So if you have the extra missile tank, when you run out of missiles, this reserve missile tank will refill a certain amount. Same thing with the extra energy tank. It's not an actual extra energy tank. It's when you die, it gives you a bit more energy so you can keep going. So that's what those do.
Okay.
It's still scummy that a $40 game is locking out art and a difficulty mode and stuff like that behind, I don't know, $50 to $60 worth of amiibo. But that's what Nintendo's
what are you gonna
doing.
do?
Yeah. So anyway, one more thing. Someone in the chat at some point, could have been last week, could have been within the last several months, someone recommended a anime, Parasite. And I've actually watched the first couple episodes now, and I'm really enjoying the show. I think it's quite good. I have to say, though, I've given it some thought, and this show may have the single worst opening song of any anime ever. It is. Yeah. I may have to give that some more thought, but I've been thinking about it, and I can't think of a song that's worse. This is ear-bleedingly bad. It's auto-tuned and screaming. It's terrible. Maybe you like it. I don't know. But the show's good. Yeah. I am enjoying the show. And I've done 11 episodes of, or filmed 11 episodes of debut review, and I've found one show that I actually like so far. So,
well, that sounds. I guess it doesn't sound that out of the ordinary. I guess that much comes out, surely most of it's going to be garbage.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is anime, and that goes for everything. Most anime sucks. Most TV shows suck. Most music sucks. Most video games suck. But that's if you're counting everything. Yeah, most of it sucks. That's why Auto-tune will be the downfall of music. Auto-tune's already been the downfall of music, which is a shame because Auto-tune does have its place in learning tracks. You know, if you're making a learning track for someone, yeah, use Auto-tune to fix it. Or to make really slight tweaks to things, it's fine. But, or even if you're using it as an actual effect. I mean, the first time I heard Auto-tune, I think, was in a Cher song way back in the 90s. And she was just using it as some type of digital vocal effect. But today, too many people just use it as a crutch. Too many people who genuinely can't sing well use pitch correction because they can't sing on pitch. Yes, yes, Wilson. Parasite. Yeah. Auto-tune for metal music. It's pretty much what it is. Yeah. It's like, oh, make it stop. It's the worst thing I've ever heard. I'm not kidding. I would rather listen to Hatsune Miku music than listen to this opening song again. That's how bad it is. At least Hatsune Miku, she may be auto-tuned and gross, but well, she's not auto-tuned. She's just a digital voice. But at least she doesn't scream. At least I've never, I've never heard, heavy metal Hatsune Miku. I don't know if that exists, but anyway. So that's it for the show. Let us plug our stuff and get out of here. Andrew Eisen here. My videos are on YouTube. Just type in Andrew Eisen. Eisen is how you spell the last name, and you'll find them. Currently in the middle of the summer 2017 season of Debut Review, where I look at the first episode of all the new anime shows and let you know what I think about them. So far, I haven't thought much of them. They've all been. They're very. I'm trying to. There've been a couple that I flat out didn't like, but most of them were just Nothing that makes me want to watch the second episode. Yeah. But I did find one out of the first 11. I think there's a good 24 of them this season. So, and follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen and marvel and the weird stuff that goes through my head on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I've actually been posting a lot more, or tweeting a lot more, I guess, recently. So lots of political stuff and lots of video game stuff. I've been talking a lot about Stardew Valley and fishing lately because I'm making a fishing game. When the development, right now I'm still in the very early planning and design phase. So once development starts rolling around, you can follow that at DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter, where I retweet developers and what they're doing, and also artists and stuff as well. And you can check out OKGameDevs.com. So there you go.
All right. You marry anyone in Stardew Valley?
Not yet. I'm still in the first half of the first year, so it's like I barely got a couple of people up to 2 hearts. So, so I'm still a little ways away from being able to pick my spouse, significant other to be.
Got your eye on anyone in particular?
I don't know. I'm playing as a girl. Whenever a game gives me an option of boy or girl, I always pick a girl because very few games let you play a girl by default. So that's what I do. So I'm trying to decide. Most of the guys are really annoying, and I hate them all. A couple of them, aren't too bad. But
you're all prats. You're all douchebags. Stay away from me. Get off of my farm, or I'll set my cow on you.
Yeah, so I'm considering everybody in Stardew Valley is bi. The girls are also options, where there's actually a couple of them that aren't so bad.
There you go.
It's like some of the guys. It's like one of them is a really heavy emo kid, and I can't stand him. One of them is the is a jock who's all about his hair and stuff, and he's super annoying. And then they've got the Fabio type guy who lives on the beach, and I haven't talked to him a whole lot, but maybe he would be okay. But and then there's this one guy that works at the local Jojo Mart, which is the Sam's Club Costco equivalent, and he's always stupid. And then there's a couple other guys that the local doctor and stuff. But yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the guys, but they all have really annoying personalities. And so I don't know, we'll see how things go. But marry the mayor, I haven't installed any mods, so I can't marry the mayor. I can't marry Pam or Marnie or any of those characters. But
yeah, quick anecdote from me. I've probably told this story before, but you 13 UQ pepper spray upgrade. Get away from me. I play which game was it? It was Rune Factory Frontier. And the main gal of the game, I mean, you can date or marry. I guess I never actually got that far with any of them because I didn't care. Probably all the characters, but the one on the box, Misty or Mist, whatever her name is, I always found her creepy because almost
Yeah.
stalkerish. She's always just there watching you. One time I went home and she was there in my house. I'm like, what are you doing here? Um, but when I moved in, the mailman or mail lady or whatever, Annette, I believe, runs up to me and she's like, "Hey, I'm Annette, the mail girl, and here's your mail, and welcome to town. Yay, bye!" And she runs off, and I read my mail, and the this is my first day there, and I only had one letter, and it was from her, and it said, "Hey, just wanted to welcome you to whatever village, catch you around. Yay!" And I'm like, "Oh, that's sweet. I like her." And what's nice is she doesn't live in that village, so I never got sick of her. It was just nice to see her in the morning when I got the mail. I'm like, if I bother with the dating or marriage part of this game, I think I'll look into Annette. And then summer rolled around, and there was the big beach festival, which means all the characters are wandering around in their swimsuits. And that's when I realized, and that was probably 14 years old. I'm like, oh no. She's like half my height. I didn't realize because my mailbox sits on kind of a mound. So every time I saw her, she was standing on this mound next to my mailbox. So she looked like she was, up nearer to my height. And then I saw her at the beach and walked up to her, and her head's like down here. I'm like, oh, I'm not cool with this at all. No, and that pie. So that was my short, sad history of dating in Rune Factory Frontier, and Magnetic Lakes as Annette was awesome, and it deserves a fresh sequel. I don't think there are a bunch in that series, but I don't think any of them are continuations of the previous games. But, I'm actually really liking that in memoriam idea for the everything but Wii U. I'll have to think about that.
Nice.
Anyway, that's our show for this week. So take care, y'all, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.